First of all, if you want like your best like stream stuff, it is really basic things you can do, like going into under your output. Actually, you know what? Let me go over the first thing actually you should do is figure out what your system specs are. And to do that, you just type in device manager in your Windows in the bottom left. This is literally actually like what you need to know. The best thing is right here is your GPU and your CPU. Because if you don't know your specs, you shouldn't like be doing any of this, because like it's so person by person situation, right? So I got a 1080 Ti, which is perfect. I think anyone that has probably like a 1060, 6GB and above will probably be able to run like usually max specs. But that's, again, your mileage may vary depending on your device. And then I have a fucking Ryzen 7 3700X, right? And like the lowest, like if you want to copy the settings I'm gonna have, the lowest processor I'd probably say is like a i7 4770 is, I'd say. I like that doesn't mean like you have to have an i7. A lot of the newer i5s will do it. A lot of the newer even i3s will probably do it too. But like I said, mileage may vary just depending on what your processor is. You're gonna be messing with certain settings and making it sure it works on your end, because some things may work, some things may not work. Even if you have the best stuff, some things may not work either for whatever reason, right? Let's say you have like a gigabit down, gigabit up Ethernet, right? And you're like, why are the settings still not working for me? Why am I still getting issues? Well, some people's internet might be unstable. So like, you're getting like a gigabit up, right? But you can have hiccups consistently, so that way it doesn't work. And that's something you gotta do with your ISP. Anyways, once you figure out what your CPU and GPU is, you're gonna go under output, right? And I'm gonna be giving you examples for, like I said, the best settings you're going to want. Like for the people here listening, if you wanna give me your specs manually so I can let you know what settings would be best for you, I can give you that after this. But for the most part, you're gonna make sure you go under output, and this should be set to output mode advanced or simple. When you get into here, set it to advanced, and you'll see all this extra stuff. And for people who aren't tech savvy, but what the fuck is all this? CBR 6002 medium, what does all this fucking mean, right? Well, this is just basically like the highest output stuff you can put for your stream. This is the highest definition stream you can basically have possible. Besides like setting your CPU preset to placebo or very slow, like you never do that though, unless you're running off of NASA computers, and like real actual NASA computers, not exaggerating. So always rate control, always CBR is gonna be the best for you, no matter what. I've never seen any situation where any of these three are better. CBR is just the best, right? Your bit right here, this is entirely based on your internet. Hardware really doesn't matter too much with this. So what you're gonna wanna do is do yourself a speed test. Go to like speedtest.net, or even Google speed test works perfectly fine. And you're gonna figure out 6,000 kilobits per second. What does that number exactly mean? We judge our internet based off of megabits per second. So converting this from megabits per second, it's just like 1 megabit is 1,000 kilobits, right? So if let's say you have 6,000 millibits per second consistent upload speed, right? Like, wow, I can do 6,000, right? Not really. I wouldn't recommend it personally. I would say always just give your computer like a little bit of leeway with your internet. So if you got 6,000, probably do 5,000. Give your computer an extra like 1,000 upload, because for all you know, maybe you got fucking someone else on the internet doing stuff. If you are exactly at that max, you're gonna end up like throttling, and you're gonna end up seeing dips. So, but if you got like 20 megabit per second upload, 6,000 is fine. You're totally good. Anything I'd say, if you are above 8 megabits per second upload, you're good. You are a-okay. 6,000, you're good. All right, so on to the next thing. It would be keyframe interval. Now, I have read thousands of guides on this, and everyone just says 2. It's always 2. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But 2 is the number. I would love to give you a proper explanation on this, but everyone has always said 2 no matter what. So make sure to set this to 2. CPU usage preset. This is going to be extremely important. This is entirely based on your CPU, how good your CPU is. If you got like a fucking old ass i3, you're not going to be able to do too good, right? So with this, what you're going to want to do is kind of judge where your CPU is. Did you just buy a new CPU off the market that's fucking tip top notch? Awesome. Set that bitch to medium and you're good to go, right? But if you're kind of got like a CPU that's like a little bit slow, not all there, you're always good setting it to like faster. Or if you think it's like it can do it fast. The way to test this out to see if it'll work or not is in the bottom left. You know how Streamlabs will occasionally be like, your encoding is overloaded. That's because of this right here. You probably have this set to a high. So the farther down the list you go, the more intensive it'll be on your CPU. That's what it means. Like, it's gonna be ultra fast. Like, your CPU is not gonna render it like it's so weird having to explain this because you think it's backwards, like slow, like my CPU doesn't use it much, but it's like just how it is. Slow means like it will use a lot of your CPU, a shit ton. Medium, it'll be like, that's kind of like I said, I use medium because again, Ryzen 7 3700X, that's a good mixture of both. Fast, it's not using nearly as much. The further you go up, you know, it won't use nearly as much CPU, meaning your stream won't look nearly as good. That is what this comes down to. The farther down you go, the better your stream is gonna end up looking. A lot better. Like I said, you got you got a really good CPU, use medium. All right, down here, profile, from what I just understand, it's kind of like a baseline would be like baseline main high. I've always done high. Again, I've read a lot of guides and people just say do high. This is just kind of like what your stream should look like. I don't exactly know what it does. I just said high because that's just the best what I've read. Because I want to see like a difference between baseline and main, but they kind of sound the same to me. Baseline and main, like they just seem normal. But yeah, so I always set it to high. It's the best you can do. Tune, I recently changed this one to 0 latency because I really want 0 latency on my streams, right? And this will help out a little bit with that, just a little bit. But overall, you can kind of ignore this. If you don't like, if you're not like seriously heavily invested in 0 latency, you can just set it to none. You'll be a-okay. Because what it'll end up doing is I think it'll make your streams look a little bit worse just to make sure you have the least latency possible, which again, I love having. So that's your CPU encoding, right? If you wanted to do GPU encoding, which is actually very viable, as long as you have a GTX 1616 above. So that includes like the 2000 series, RTX 2000 series, RTX 3000 series. They have newer chips on them that allow recording on GPUs to be a lot better. So if you have that, I can't really go over the options here because I'm kind of locked in right now on the recording. Yeah, so let's look at shuffle settings here real quick. All right, so shuffle, right? So you're set on the invent, new, perfect. 6000 bit rate's perfect. Keyframe interval, set that to 2. That's yeah, normal across the board. Preset set to a max quality. Yep, max quality for sure. Yep, profile high is good. Look ahead in psycho visual tuning, I actually looked up a good bit. You don't want look ahead. Do not use look ahead. I don't know why. Just don't. Psycho visual tuning, you do want on. It is good. Max B frames, I don't know either. GPU is just the GPU is going to use, which is leave it to 0, unless you have a dual card setup, in which case you might want to offload to a second card. But at the end of the day, you're using a chip that's dedicated to rendering anyways, so it doesn't really matter. You wouldn't really want to use a second GPU. So set to 0. Max B frames too, I think it's fine as well. So that's going to be your best. Yes, that's going to be best for you, 100%. You need to apply, and there's not much else to be done. But I recommend seeing a different guide for that because I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what is the best there because I've only ever dealt with CPU encoding. But yeah, so that's gonna be the best. Under audio here, I set mine to like the highest audio bitrate. For the most part, there's not a lot on like really high audio bitrate. 320 bitrate, it's like, it's not necessary. You can do like 160, 192, I think is what it was. It'd be totally fine. But I was like, I might as well set it to highest. Like I said, somewhere around 160, 192 is basically like perfect. You won't see much of a difference between that and like 320, unless your viewers are listening in with like fucking super high definition, $3,000 headset bullshit, you know what I mean? Then they're gonna hear a difference. But besides that, I just hit the max. I was like, why not, right? Under audio, there's not much to be done here. It's all gonna be set manually to like what your system specs already are. So sample rate will be just set to normal. You don't have to worry about audio basically whatsoever. Video is very important though. So let's look at this, right? Base canvas resolution, I set this to 4K because from my basic understanding of it is base canvas resolution is like your OBS setting itself. And then output scale resolution is it'll scale that picture all the way down to the resolution and then broadcast that picture out. From what I'm understanding, downscaling, the bigger you can downscale, the better, because that produces a better quality picture. So that's why I set it to 4K. I could be wrong on that. You could probably do like 1:1 and be totally fine. So you could probably set this to 936p and then 936p on this one as well. And that probably will look the same. But from just my general understanding as a tech person, downscaling is always good, but I could be wrong. Output scale resolution is the most important one though. Definitely. This is what your viewers are going to be seeing. This is gonna be your highest quality setting is right here. And right now it's currently set to 936p, which is really odd. Why would you want to set it to 936p? Like that's a really weird and odd number. Well, again, I've done a lot of research on this and a lot of videos will let you know that running 936p instead of 1080p is a lot better overall. I think what it does is it sacrifices a little bit of quality for a lot more performance. For whatever reason, it just is the way to go. So if you are able to stream at 1080p, try and get that down to 936p. It's just better. I don't know why. There's like tons of videos on it. Just look up 1080p versus 936p if you don't believe me, and do your own research. And that's the biggest thing too, is a lot of this stuff is I highly recommend people do their own research after seeing this, because settings do change. Times will change and you'll get different answers. But for the most part, this is going to be kind of like an end all be all for high-end users. So I used to stream at 720p before, which is totally fine. 720p is like, it's fine. But the problem is, since I do edits and stuff, and I do like zoom-ins on my edits, things have looked blurry when I was doing edits. And I was like, I need to get a little bit higher because I can't stand the blurriness. And 936p fixed that for me. Going up a bit definitely helped. This is entirely dependent on your CPU, and I think it's just mainly CPU, depending on what encoder you use. The higher resolution you go, the more intensive it'll be, and obviously the less you go, the less intensive it'll be. So if you got, like I said, a badass, like fucking CPU, 936p you'll handle easy. But if you got something that you're not terribly sure of, I overall say stay around 720p. If you can't stream at 720p, I probably wouldn't recommend streaming until you get around there, because at that point you're getting into lower options and stuff where things are gonna start looking really blurry. So yeah, 720p is basically the magic end all. Not really an end all be all, but like it's good. It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's perfect middle ground. No one's gonna really complain about it, except like probably you yourself. Like that's what I was saying is I really, really wanted it to be better on my end because I wanted my stuff to look better, right? But nobody else complained about it. So yeah, high end 936p. If you don't really care too much about it and like your system isn't amazing, 720p should be fine. Downscale filter, I think this overall just means like how well it kind of ties in almost with bitrate. If you have like if you set it to 16 or 18 samples, it won't look as sharp. If you go to 36 samples, it'll look even sharper, which is good. That's exactly what you want, higher quality, right? So lens cause filter, I've always just, that's just the end all be all, is just lens cause. That's it. I've never seen a situation where someone hasn't been able to use lens cause. I don't think it has that much of a performance hit. I could be wrong though. So if you enable this, your CPU like can't really stream anymore, that might be why. But like I said, do your testing, you know, do your research. And then common FPS value is extremely important. Usually by default, OBS sets this to 30. And that might be because you set like, you didn't do the wizard or whatever, and the wizard would, because every time you open up OBS for the first time, it'll run through a wizard, and it'll test your internet connection, it'll test your hardware stuff, and say, this is the best settings, right? And I've gone through a shit ton of people that have gone through the wizard, and it actually doesn't give them the best settings they could use. So yeah, like I had a guy that had like really high-end stuff, and his common FPS value was like 30. I was like, what the fuck? So this is just the difference between how smooth your stream is. 30 FPS, it's like, you know, refresh rates on monitors. You go from 60 to like 120 or even like 160, whatever it is, right? It looks a lot smoother. Same thing here. The more frames you output on your stream, the smoother it's going to end up being. I highly encourage 60 FPS streaming. It is really smooth. You can see a big difference between 30 and 60. If you gotta do 30, that's fine. Like I said, as long as you're 720p, it'll be okay. But the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS is substantial. It is insane. So try and do that if you can. And overall, that's basically the basics of OBS. Besides that, there's not much else to go over for the basics. These, like, if you can do these settings in OBS, you'll be golden. Your streams look amazing and incredible, right? So now let's go over audio. And with audio is a really interesting topic because OBS itself doesn't really have built-in plugins to help out audio. It just kind of just takes in the raw, direct audio and calls it that. There's no codecs to make things sound better. I mean, you kind of can if you want to personally, like you go to not properties, but filters. You can add filters to your stuff. And I mean, these filters, I have 2 of them that are custom, but the base filters I don't really like. The only base filter I'll use is limiter, because a limiter is a limiter. It's the same whether it's going to be a basic one or a super advanced one. It's going to do the same thing, right? But overall, you're going to want to get your plugins and everything. Let me I should be streaming on OBS still, right? You guys can see it? It's like my, I think so, right? And with Reaper plugins, all you gotta do is download Reaper, and it'll guide you through the entire process. It's just gonna ask you like to install all the plugins and stuff. You say yes, and then you get it installed, you relaunch OBS. Make sure to download 64-bit. I don't know why people would download 32-bit, but 64-bit is what we want. So it'll install a bunch of audio plugins, and you're gonna be really overwhelmed unless you have like a video to watch. Which I recommend looking up a video for Reaper plugins, but I'm gonna go over the ones that I found the best for me. Stream paused. Oh, well, that's tragic, but that's okay. So the ones I use are for my mic. Because right now in Discord, my mic probably sounds perfect because Discord's got some amazing audio codecs, right? But on OBS, if I was to turn off all the filters, I would not sound good. Here, let me show you what my filters sound like, right? So you guys can't hear it on Discord, but through the recording, they can definitely hear it, and they can probably hear like some like just this humming, basically. Actually, let's see, hold on. Yeah, see how sensitive the bar is down there? you don't want to pick up every little individual noise at all. Like, that's the whole problem. Like, you don't. So when I stop talking, that bar needs to go down all the way. Now, for 95% of people, if you don't have filters on, you're going to have that issue. You're going to have, like, something. You can hear the computer fan whirring. You can hear the fan, you know, your ceiling fan going off. You got your fucking hamster in the background fucking making noise, right? Now, our whole thing is we want to negate that. We want to take that away. This fix doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. I would say it applies to 90% of people. And that is a Reaper plugin called Reaper Standalone. And with this, you can do something incredible. And that is negating that background static noise, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a test one real quick, right? So I don't have to, you know, fuck up my own. So we'll go to, this is how you add it, by the way. You go VST 2.x plugin, right? We'll call it noise suppressor, molder. And then we select Reaper Standalone. We're going to open this plugin and it's going to be like, what the fuck is this? What am I looking at? All that matters is you set it to sub. It didn't happen that time. But if your mouse is next to your mic and you click, see that? You need to make sure that mouse click you're doing is like covered up and your mic does not pick that up. So what you want to do is, what I'll do is I'll cover it with a blanket and make it so there's this, you can't hear the click at all. And then you stay absolutely silent for the next 5 seconds, right? So let's try and do that now. Okay, so I don't have any, like these ones in the front here don't really matter too much. Because with the mouse click, you'll have like a much bigger spike and then you have to redo it. But this is basically my noise profile. This is my background noise. Now, mind you, your background noise is going to change. We all have heaters, we have ACs, we have fans, right? So with those different variables in mind, what I'll do is, if you see back here, I have one for a fan, I have one for a fan and an AC, and I have one for a heater, right? I get lazy though, and I put the fan and AC one at all times, and it just negates everything fine, you know. But again, it's mileage. Your mileage is different. Some people will have super noisy fans. Some people will have super noisy heaters, right? So make one for every instance that you're going to be streaming in. So if you got, like I said, heater, make one for heater. AC and heater may sound exactly the same, but it may not. So that's why I do that. And then if you have, like, maybe you have your fan, right, set to low, right? But in the middle of streaming, shit gets hot, right? Your computer's gonna get hot, you're gaming, you're becoming a gamer, you know, eating your fucking Cheetos and shit. Shit gets hot, right? So then you want like a higher speed on your fan. And then all of a sudden it starts making even more background noise. So you can make one for like low fan speed and then also high fan speed. All that you have to do is make sure you turn on whatever setting you're currently in. So if you're in you know, your fan's on, your AC's on, or your fan and your heater's on at the same time, make one for that, you know. It's a little bit of work, but once you do it, it's done, right? You just got to make sure to enable them. So yeah, so there's your noise suppressor. Perfect, right? On to the next plugin. It's going to be your gate, your noise gate. And I like this one a lot. I don't think this one, no, this one wasn't the one I was using. It was this one. So this is a great noise gate. Overall, always set your release to 250. I think if you have it set to lower, it'll like cut in and out weirdly. But 250 has always done me good. Like no issue at all with that. And what you want to do is, a noise gate is going to basically your tiny little noises you make, like keyboard clacking, mouse clicking, whatever it is, it can negate that for you. So right now, if I just stop talking, it's gonna because I only have the noise gate on, it should just bottom out here a little bit. See that? That is your ambient noise right there. So what you want to do is set it a good bit above. So right about here is our ambient noise. So if you set this above a little bit, I usually do like, I think above like 10 decibels above it is usually pretty good. Because now, I mean, my keyboard's really clacky, so there's no real way of noise gating it, right? If I just type here, you can see that it's right there. So if I wanted to, I could raise this up a little bit, and now my clacks will go away. So if I just start typing, a lot of those keys are going to be like, you won't hear that at all, right? And this is fantastic because the thing is, you should be having your mouth basically next to your microphone. So no matter what you talk, whether it be quietly or loudly, if you have your mic next to you, it'll pick that up easy. It'll pick it up fine because it's just good. And then everything else, all the little weird noises, you know, like I said, mouse noise, keyboard noise, it'll get rid of that for you. I just forgot. Everyone in the recording right now probably is hearing like subtle background noises. They don't have my plug on, so I'll turn that on. And now we have these two on. And now these are both, like I said, working together very well. Super, super good. Those are two super important audio things I think everyone needs to have. And then, like I said, I use a basic limiter. The best way I test the limiter is, okay, so you gotta really kind of scream into your mic for this. You have to kind of see what your peak mic noise is gonna be. So right now, if I get really close to my mic, it's kind of peaking at -10, which actually isn't that great. You kind of want it to peak usually around the -6 area. So I'm going to go ahead and lower this, like, I think down to -3. You see this? Let me test this now. And now see I'm peaking on the -6 area, which is good. Red does not necessarily mean bad. If you're super far into the red, yes, that would be bad. But a little bit in the red, I know is pretty good. The main thing you want with audio quality, right? This is the general golden rule. You want your mic, your volume, to always be a little bit louder than your desktop stuff going on. You want your voice to be your main focal point. So if you end up having like your mic and your desktop audio be the same, kind of like the same levels, so like your desktop audio is just as loud as you talking, it's gonna be hard for the viewers to listen and be like, what are you saying? You know, like there's gonna be occasional some points where the desktop's gonna be louder than your mic, and it's gonna be like, what are they saying? So always make sure, golden rule is always make sure your mic is always a good bit louder. You're always over your desktop audio. Because I see it way too many times. I'll tune into someone's stream and like it's just blaring fucking desktop audio, and I'm hearing them go. It's fucking insane. Quick question from Lucy. Sure, what's up? What's the question? Sorry, yeah, because they can't type it around in the text channel that we have. What's the question? Oh, you can talk now if you'd like.
Oh. Do you use a compressor mic or a dynamic mic?
I think it's a compressor. I use Blue Yeti, which a lot of people frown upon because it's like cheap XD shit. But overall, I think it's like probably one of the best options you can go for. It's super affordable. You hear how like my mic sounds. You can go to my streams and listen to how it sounds and make your opinion based off of there. You know, you can give them temporary access to the BT, sure, no problem. But yeah, like I said, I recommend the Blue Yeti. It's been through like 3 moves with me. It's gone across the country. It's super fucking durable. I've had basically 0 issue with it. And like I said, with these little audio codecs and stuff that you're making up, with these filters and stuff, it's going to sound incredible. On top of that, I know some people do some magic with Voice Meter Banana with their Blue Yetis and make it sound like a studio grade mic. Which, I mean, personally for me, I think it sounds more than fine already. I don't really mind it all too much. So I don't use that. I personally, I don't like Voice Meter Banana because I've had so many goddamn issues with it, with like the latency and stuff that it produces. So I tend to stay away from it. But if you are one of the users that use it for like mic and stuff, by all means, you know, make your stuff sound better. And that'll basically be it for audio. It's just these main things you want to focus on, those 3 main plugins, which is going to be your RIA for standalone, your RIA gate standalone, and your just basic limiter. So besides that should conclude the audio section for the most part. So does anyone else have any questions about the other 2, the basics or the audio that we just went through? Anything at all? I see people typing, it's making me happy. Nice. You know if there's a way to separate Discord audio from desktop? Yes! So that was actually the next thing I was going to talk about. So literally, I was going to show you guys a really cool plugin for that. Now, mind you, I don't really care for that too much, separating Discord audio. Besides that, Discord, for whatever reason, is always, I've noticed this, 3 decibels louder than all my other desktop applications. So, like, my friends will come on, and, like, they're peaking my shit constantly, right? And you don't really want that. So I've always turned down my desktop audio to -3 because of Discord. So if I wanted to, I could separate Discord out of it, and then only make Discord audio -3, and then have my desktop audio be good. How do I spot desktop audio sounds? So what do you mean by that? So when you do subtract everything off, wait, hold on, wait. So when you do subtraction, everything off? Yes, when you do the subtraction filter, make sure all other filters are off. Because if you have your noise gate on and you're negating noise, the filter's gonna be like, not hearing it. It's not gonna hear anything because the noise gate's on, you know? I only want them to hear X window. Yes, you can also do that as well with this little plugin I found. It is really, really, really good. And the reason why I'm using this plugin, which we'll now go into if no one else has any other questions. I see Spicy typing, so I'll wait for you to type up before I go into an explanation. If I need to boost my mic level, should I apply a gain filter? Yes, yes. Yeah, so if you're ever noticing, like, you're at max, this bar is like max, and you're still quiet as fuck, all you have to do is you go into filters, and you can just add a gain filter. And then just, I'm not going to do it here, because the recording is going to sound super loud if I do it. But you just add a gain filter, and then you can add in as many decibels as you like, you know? Like I said, the best thing you can really do is get it to that -6 decibel area peaking. That is the best thing you can do, is exactly that. What's a gain filter? A gain filter is just to increase your mic volume. I think you can also do it on desktop as well. Oh, by the way, you don't really have to do anything for desktop audio except make a limiter, I recommend. So like if something is super loud, like I said, it's gonna go to that -6 area instead of 0, so that way it doesn't blast people's ears out, you know? So that's what I have here. That'll be it. And it looks like nobody else has any questions. If you do, like I said, feel free to ask. But we're going to be going into the cool plugin I literally found like 3 days ago, which is the, it's in the beta, I believe. I don't exactly remember what it's called, because like I said, it's still in development, and I don't have a link for it either. I'll have to find it afterwards. But it allows you to basically separate your audio, right? So this is what this is telling me right now, right? It is saying it's going to capture a specific window, right? And I have it set to the YouTube Music desktop application. It doesn't say it exists, but it does. I don't know why it doesn't say it exists, because it'll work. It's still capturing, so it doesn't matter what like the title is. And I have it to music because I have this really, really, really weird issue that no one fucking else has. And I've had this since like the start of my streaming career, like 3 years ago. And that is, whenever I listen to music, whether it be on Chrome, a different application, music is always like a solid 1.5 seconds behind. And it drove me fucking mad. Because I'd be like, you know, fucking singing along to a fucking song, and then I go back to the VOD, and I sound like a drunk idiot. Like, just like, singing like, you hear me singing, and then you hear like the music. Or you'll hear the music first, and then you'll hear me sing like 1.5 seconds afterwards. It was horrible. It was so bad. It was pissed me off so bad. And it was only music. Any other desktop application sounds were totally fine. So this is what I did. I downloaded an application for my music, which was YouTube Music. I set it so it's capturing off of YouTube Music. And this is where the really interesting part comes in. I have 2 of them. And I have them both capturing that, but this time on this one, I have this one set to capture all audio except the selected window, right? So what you can do here is this is going to be your audio for everything but that. So let's say you want to isolate something like Discord, right? Discord volume. You can do that. So you isolate the Discord volume with this, right? So this one exactly isn't going to capture that sound at all, period. It's isolated. You're gonna hear everything else but that. And this one will capture only that thing. So you have entirely isolated it off of your volume. So once you have that, it's gonna pop up over here once you make these 2. And I'm trying to see if I had to do anything fancy for this, like any filters or anything. I don't think I did. Let's see. Normal limiter, like normal. Oh, yes, here we go. So over here, this was only for my issue that I had to fix. So I took the music thing, right? My music that I listened to, and I gave it a 135 ms delay. So now it syncs up 100% properly with my voice. Problem fucking solved. So great. So fucking awesome. Unfortunately, there is something, you can also do this as well. You can, I know people are concerned for copyright and stuff on Twitch with their VODs and whatnot and getting it muted. Unfortunately for me, I haven't really done a lot of research into that. You can do that with this application super easy. Like, you just have to take a few of these tracks and stuff and you'll be good to go. But I haven't learned that myself. So you're gonna have to learn, you're gonna have to go watch a different video for that if you want to. And that's just learning about separating music from desktop audio is what you look up for that. But that is an option for you if you want to separate your music off your VODs. Personally, for me, I don't really care too much for that because I have my music super quiet, usually. Not super quiet, but like quiet enough to the point where my voice talks over it, and I basically never ever get my VODs muted because of that reason. So as long as you're not listening to music, blaring it in you know, Twitch, that's all Twitch is hearing, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. But again, it's to your mileage. You know, I never can recommend people listening to copyrighted music on Twitch because that would be not Epic Gamer. But like, you know, if you want to, I'm not gonna stop you. You know, just make sure it's quiet. You talk over it. You know, there's a little workaround. So yeah, so that's basically it for that plugin. I will find a link for it after this tutorial. Any questions about this at all? I know it's really weird having two sources, right? And I call this one desktop audio fake because it's not actually my desktop audio. It's only the audio off of that application. Now, there is a little caveat here, and that is the fact that if I close out YouTube Music, I will have no desktop audio at all because it entirely hinges on that application being open. So make sure if you do this trick for like Discord or something, that all you do is make sure the Discord's always open, you know, which isn't that big of a deal. So you put a limiter on every audio source. Yeah, overall, it's just it's like a healthy practice because you never want it to go to zero. Like you never want it to redline all the way to the right ever on any audio source ever. It's just a good general rule to have on OBS is to make sure everything's not zero, you know. It's just good to mix everything in and make sure that everything peaks kind of like the same. I don't know what songs copyright or not. Like I said, if you're worried about copyright and stuff, just keep it a little bit quiet. Make sure you're talking a good bit, you know. And Twitch won't be able to pick it up. If you want to figure out what songs are copyright or not, unfortunately, what I did is I would listen to certain songs on stream and I would write down the time on where I listened to the song, and if that part was copyrighted, I would know which song I can't play anymore. Thank you. That's gonna help a lot. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I you know, like I said, my little trick about putting music quiet and then talking over it. I do that trick. So I listen to maybe some not the friendliest copyright stuff on Twitch, but it works. So, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. That's what copyright is. If your audio that you are broadcasting is, I think, is like 20% altered from the original audio, you're fine. Copyright can't get you. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, right? If I'm listening to music even full blast and I'm like speaking over it the entire time, technically that's still not copyright. That's what this whole problem is with Twitch. Is they're just copywriting regardless. If they hear even one segment of the song and they're like, oh, that's that song, they're gonna copyright your ass, right? Which, I mean, again, can be really bad or wouldn't really matter too much. So, you know, the base of it will be you'll just get your VOD muted, but in some cases you will actually get slapped with a DMCA strike. Which again, copyright rules say like if you change up audio by like 20-25% or whatever. So like if you're talking over something, that's fine. It should be fine because again, the person who made that music or whatever, your voice over it isn't part of the song. You know what I mean? You're basically making your own thing at that point. It's not that song anymore. Yeah. So if you don't talk a lot and you're just playing like music and stuff, that's the best thing I can recommend is write down certain segments of your VOD. Like say you're at 51 minutes or something into your stream, you write down 51 minutes and I'm listening to this song that I think might be copyright. If that segment of your stream now gets muted, you know which song not to listen to. And it sucks. It really, really, really does. But at the end of the day, that's just how you get around it. But if you're a loud and really obnoxiously fucking talkative person like I am, you're gonna be fine. You know, so that's great. All right, any other questions about any of the topics we have discussed whatsoever? Go ahead if you like anything at all. It is really great if you have questions, so that way people seeing this will probably have their questions answered themselves. Holy shit, you were so quiet. Hold on, let me turn you up. I've got like 50%. Hold on. Okay, hi, what's up?
Is it recommended to have like a dedicated playlist building slowly to have like dedicated to like Twitch related?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to this whole music thing, it's about finding what music is 100% good for you to play. So I definitely recommend people make their own playlists and stuff that are, you know, copyright free. That is the easiest solution. That is the I wouldn't necessarily say it's the fastest solution, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be getting hit with VOD mutes. You're not going to be getting hit with, and I know actually, if you look up, there is actually a lot of playlists out there that do have copyright free music. That's all the playlist is. Like, you know, my friend Mary Squid is making her own playlist right now off of SoundCloud. That is all copyright free music, which I actually really enjoy listening to occasionally. So that is, yes, that is definitely a thing you can do. It just takes a little bit of time for that. All right, anyone else? Let's see. I know most of the artists I can't listen to, but they're some of my favorites. I know it sucks. It really does. But like I said, you can do my method of talking over it really loudly, not having Twitch detect it ever, or just having it unfortunately phase away from your streaming career. I usually test songs by using them as starting scene songs. Exactly. Intro songs. Exactly. If you want to listen to, like, I open up every one of my streams. I open up with a song that I know is won't get me copyright strike, right? And that is the best way to test it. Unfortunately, it's like it kind of sucks where it's like you have to break the rule to see what's good and what's not. Because I've looked up, I've tried to find like a website for like copyright music, which I mean there might be, but from what I tested, it doesn't exist for me for whatever reason.